Welcome back to Prison Yard TV. Today we have a special guest, and as you can see, I'm blacked out, and I'm talking to ELDRA Jackson. ELDRA, I'm going to do your introduction, but this is an exclusive interview because you're in our community doing the work. And what I mean by that, you're running a circle, inside circle. And I want you to introduce yourself, tell my viewers a little bit about your background, where you're from, and what you're doing in the community. And I'm going to let you take over from now. I want to give you the whole platform. That's why my face ain't on here, viewers. So I wanted to give him the full platform to explain a little bit about the positivity that comes from ex-convicts. Everybody that's in prison or got convicted of a crime don't come out with the mentality of the streets or gangbanging. And I want to let my viewers know, I want you to let them know what you're doing in the community now that you've been home and how long you've been home.
Certainly. First of all, man, thank you for having me on. I appreciate what you do. I respect what you do. Creating a platform and a space where young people can get exposed to a little bit of truth, as opposed to the mythology and bullshit about, the streets and this lifestyle that we come from. My name is ELDRA Jackson III, and I'm co-executive director of a nonprofit organization known as Inside Circle. And Inside Circle is a nonprofit that was born. The nonprofit was born to support the work of a group that was born in New Folsom Prison on B Yard following the race riot in '96. I myself am an individual who, I'm from Sacramento. I hail from Sacramento, from the South area, Meadowview. I used to bang Meadowview. And in 1990, I was arrested and convicted and sent away by the career criminal unit out of Sacramento County for crimes that netted me a term of life plus 17 years. I wound up serving 24 years of that sentence. I left in 1990. I came home June 18th, 2014. And since then, I've been involved with the organization. Going back inside of prison, I go into New Folsom, I go into CMF at Vacaville, I go into Solano, I go into Jamestown, and I go into California Youth Authority. I go into every juvenile institution in the state of New Jersey. We're working right now on going into three of the juvenile facilities in Illinois, as well as the Cook County Jail and Statesville Prison in Illinois, to do this work, man, to do this work that we do in these circles. And it ain't no secret shit. We ain't got no secret sauce that we do. We just sit in circle, man, and we tell the truth. And individuals, mainly men, get the opportunity to sit down and start talking and having conversations that as men, we generally don't have. As men, growing up in the time that I grew up, being a 70s baby, it wasn't about emotions and feelings and what's going on with you. It was really about, somebody stepped on your toe, they disrespected you, and now it's okay, and you got permission to be mad and get angry and go into a fit of rage and fuck somebody up. And that was accepted. What we do with this vertical emotional work is give mainly young males and men, but all human beings, the opportunity and permission to feel. Because oftentimes, when I was coming up, when I was saying, that somebody disrespected me, really what I was saying and didn't have the ability to say was, you hurt my feelings. What you did hurt me. What you did brings up sadness for me. What you did brings up shame for me. And that wasn't some gangster shit to say. Saying somebody hurt my feelings, that wasn't G. Saying that I feel shame, that wasn't G. So it was very easy and acceptable to say, oh man, that motherfucker crossed the line. He disrespected me. And so now he got this, that, and the other coming.
Yeah.
And the reality is, you know, something happened. There was a situation and it touched something in me and touched some sort of trauma or feeling or experience that I've had in my history. And man, that shit hurt. And I don't know how to process that. So lacking the ability to process that, what I'm going to do is lash out, because that's what hurt people do. Hurt people hurt people. And so because I'm hurt, to cover that up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hurt you.
Hurt you back.
And I'm going to mask that with this story about being a G, being a gangster, being hard. You disrespected, you crossed the line, and now I got to DP you.
So, ELDRA, you said you did 24 years, and I'm quite familiar with when you get a sentence over 20 years, you start your sentence off on a level 4, 180 yard. You said 1990. So I know what California prison system was in the 80s and 90s because I was there. What changed your heart and, more importantly, your mind to want to come home and stay home and make a change? Because I think society has a thing about people that've been to prison, and I'm talking about America in general. Not everyone from the neighborhoods and stuff, but people, when they hear, and this is a fact, when they hear, oh, he was in prison, it's hard to get a job. It's hard to do a lot of things. When I was growing up, now not so much, but what really was the thing that clicked in your head when you was in prison in them wars? Because I know you was in wars in prison. We both were, with different races and stuff. But what made your heart and your mind click and be like, look, man, in order for me to get out, because you have to really, the people in prison, the Board of Prisons, California Board of Prison terms, you have to prove to them, when you have a life sentence, you have to prove to them without any doubt that you're fit to come home and fit in society and be a positive member. What caused that to happen for you? What was the focal thing that happened in prison? Was it a family member on the street? Was it something that happened to you in prison? Because my viewers need to know who you are and what made you make that change, because you came out here and actually are doing the work. You're not, you're walking the walk, and you're going from state to state, and you're going to these juvenile facilities. But what made that happen, man? What I want to know what clicked in your mind and your heart, and what year? It didn't happen at the beginning of your sentence.
No, it didn't happen at the beginning of my sentence. What put me on the journey to being able to change, because it was a mind, body, and spirit thing, the change, the transformation, and it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was a continual and gradual thing, and it's something that I'm still working at, because I was that so much longer than I've been this. It was, I can remember, I can identify sitting in the shoe in Corcoran and being in 4A and being able to look out of my cell and seeing 4B, you know, cats leaving, you know, going out of 4B, being taken to yard, being taken on escorts to medical and crap like that. And Charles Manson and Sirhan were in 4B. I was in 4A, they were in 4B, and I could see them cats going out to the yard, you know, going out with other people. Yeah. And by that time, on this particular shoe term, they classified me standalone, walk alone. And you know that means I don't live with nobody else. I don't go to the yard with nobody else. Everything I do it by myself. I ain't, you know, to total be around other human beings, period.
Total isolation.
Complete and total isolation. And my ego, my mind had Charles Manson down as a stark raving lunatic, a maniac. My ego and my perception had Sirhan, you know, this motor scooter killed a Kennedy. You know, this cat is high priority. These dudes are out, they around other people, they laughing, they joking, they spreading, you know, they doing all of the shit. And, you know, Charles Manson ain't never touched another motherfucker in his life.
Never.
He just used his silver tongue to talk other people into doing stuff. but they letting them around other people. So how in the hell did I wind up in a position in my life where I'm a finger snap away from sitting on death row, but here you got helter skelter, you know, running around and playing guitars and all this other weird stuff. So that was the beginning of me looking in the mirror and recognizing that I was the issue. Recognizing that I was my own worst enemy. It wasn't Joe Willie or Pookie or this cat or that cat who did this, who snitched, who did all of that. It was me putting myself in a position for these people to be exactly who they are and to do exactly what they're gonna do. It was in that place and in that space, in that time, you know, during that shoe term, me, you know, having nothing but time to look in the mirror and come to the realization that I'm the issue. Not only was it that I'm the issue, but I'm feeding into a lot of bullshit. Why am I always sitting in the hole? How come every time some stuff is going down, the goon squad is looking at me or kicking in my door, and all of these other cats that's supposed to be in the game or are in the game seem to be having such an easy time? So I started to question the game and my role in the game. And why all these things are the way that they are. Okay, well, why, if this happens, is it that I got to do this or we got to do this? And the answer is always, oh, well, that's how it go. And it go that way because that's what they say. Well, who the fuck is they? Who is this mythical they that we always talking about that then laid down the rules of the game and what's what and all of this jazz? And where did they come from? Where are they at? And as I sat down and started to think about it and look at it and really evaluate, this they is a bunch of fucking professional fumblers just like me. It's cats who done been in the same position that I'm in right now today. They ain't did nothing successfully in life other than figure out how to flush their life down the toilet. And then sat around together and came up with all of these doctrines and encyclopedias around what the game is and how it go, and how you're supposed to conduct yourself and how you're supposed to carry yourself and the rules and the regulations and all of this other bullshit that cats are continuing to give their lives away to, including myself. And I started to see that shit, I'm a buster. is what I am. I'm going on some stuff that some cats that I don't even know made up so many moons ago. Some cats who are professional failures, and I'm feeding into this and I'm biting into this, and I think I'm somebody. What I really am is a sucker, is what I am. So that was the beginning for me recognizing my role in all of this, and recognizing. And I can't speak for nobody else. I'm speaking for myself. I don't know what nobody else think about themselves. That's how I saw it. Because I know what a sucky is. I know what a busty is. And I could see him when I looked in the mirror.
So, Eldra, so let me get this straight. You started your sentence in 1990. You ended up doing numerous shoe terms. Mm-hmm. And was this your last shoe term when you looked in the mirror?
That was my last shoe term. Yeah.
Okay. So from Corcoran Shoe, you was sent to where?
I was sent from Corcoran to Sea Yard in New Folsom.
Sea Yard. That's where I was at. Okay. From Sea Yard, is that where Inside Circle started?
Inside Circle started on B Yard. That's where I got introduced to Inside Circle, was when I hit the yard in 2000 in New Folsom. Inside Circle actually started, but inside they call it a men's support group. It started, they had their first group in 1997 when the lockdown ended after the riot in 96.
Okay, so you got in Inside Circle. You was you're actually out here doing a major part for Inside Circle. But how many people that was involved in Inside Circle on the inside are actually out doing the work that you're doing?
The numbers that we have been able to track of folks who have participated in the program and now they're out here, I believe at last count, it's like 189.
You have 189.
189 cats have gone through the men's support group or Inside Circle in New Folsom at one point or another, and they are now spread out around the country, around the world. And our recidivism numbers are zero. No one's gone back to prison. Nobody's back in prison on a new beef or anything like
Not one person that's got out of
that. Not
prison.
one person.
And you guys are around the world, and you guys are promoting. You guys are actually talking to kids about gangs, about drugs, and you're going into these facilities in these schools, and not just in California. You guys are going to New York, Baltimore. I think Baltimore, right?
Washington, D.C. We're in Washington, D.C. We're in New Jersey. We're in New York, in Brooklyn and Manhattan. We are in California. We're in Georgia, and soon to be here back in Illinois.
Illinois. So that's what you said, New York. Okay. So you just came back from New York.
I just came back from New York Saturday night. I'm headed to Washington, D.C. tonight.
Okay. What's going on in New York? Because I know what's going on, but my viewers have no clue. We see the internet, we see YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we see these cats that, to us, they're like following suit from us. They're taking our blueprint from the 80s and they're applying it in the East Coast. And I remember back when Tupac and Biggie was having their thing, and they used to talk so much shit about Bloods and Crips, and there was none out there. But now they're overwhelming New York City with Bloods and Crips. And we, LA originated that stuff. We picked up on it in the early 80s, but of course LA originated. So how bad is the gang violence on the East Coast right now?
Well, the gang violence on the East Coast, and first let me clarify, for cats who may be listening and they think that gang banging started with Bloods and Crips here on the West Coast. They've been banging on the East Coast since New York has been around. Go if you check your history, gangs are nothing new. That culture is nothing new. They have evolved, and there are factions now that claim blood and Crip, but that mentality is not new, and it's horrible. The atmosphere out there right now is horrible because when I think about the West Coast, I think about LA, Sacramento, all up and down the West Coast, and what Bloods and Crips were, how they formed, and how they transmuted up and down I-5. As twisted as it was, once upon a time, there was a code. It was a twisted code. It was a fucked up code, but there was a code. There were rules, there were regulations, there were guidelines, and there were some things, the cats just would not do. There were certain lines that people would not cross. And that's not the case today. That ain't the case on the West Coast. That ain't the case on the East Coast. That ain't the case in Central America. And so to have cats that are in a mentality of anything goes, and they arm to the teeth, and they'll do anything to anybody at any time, and damn the consequences, makes it extremely dangerous for everybody. Not just cats that are involved in the game. It makes it extremely dangerous for civilians as well.
Yeah, I'm very hip. So your program that you've been involved in, you've been home 6 years?
I've been home 8 years now. I came home in 2014.
And you immediately jumped on board with Inside Circle when you came home.
I got back connected with Inside Circle and my elders who, were coming in New Folsom as volunteers and supporting my health and healing, and got connected with them and have been running with them since I came home, as well as, with organizations like Shoulder to Shoulder, a cat who was in Old Folsom and a part of men's group because it migrated over to Old Folsom. Paul Brar, him and his wife, Margaret, started an organization out there in Roseville called YEGA, Young Adult Empowerment and Goals Association. And they've been doing that now for 15, 16 years. And they do the same work that we do, sitting in circle with what folks call at-risk youth every Saturday, every first Saturday of each month, and helping them figure out, who they are and who they want to be, and some of the motivating factors behind the dangerous activities that they're engaged in. And they also, support a program up in Jamestown called Seek, that they take the youngsters from Sacramento and the Roseville area into Jamestown prison, not on some scared straight, jumping in your face, talking about fucking in your booty and all of that. It ain't on that. It's on some, sitting down and really serving and working as mentors and trying to, help them young folks figure out where their pain is, what's the motivating factor, what is it that you lack in your life that is pushing you towards the things that you do. Because as human beings, we don't just do stuff. I don't just do things. There's always something underneath there. There's always some motivation behind why I do what I do. But if we don't take the time to sit with these young folks and support them in investigating their internal landscape to figure out what that motivation is, then when they do some dumb shit and we ask them, motherfucker, why you do that? And they come with the, oh, no. It's because they really don't know. It's not because they're not trying to give you an answer. It's because they really don't know.
Or they're following a ghost. So I just
got don't even know.
One of my viewers, and I'm gonna give him a shout out because he's my number one supporter, Big Homie 242. So he's on the East Coast. Of course, he's our age. He's in his 50s, or he's gonna be 50, and he grew up in the streets. And I talked to this individual several times. He's on board with my organization that I'm representing, Real Rise, and it's a network marketing thing. But that ain't what I'm here to talk about. He asked me right now, DC, what schools and spots are you going to? These youngsters most definitely need it. DC jail and the Fed BOP is filling up fast. What are you doing for Washington, DC?
So I will be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, which is Wednesday, the 29th, and Thursday, the 30th. We are going into a correctional facility that they house the youngsters in D.C. And I don't even know the name of it, but they have a program inside of this particular facility called YME, a Young Men Emerging Program. We're going in to support that. We are in partnership with an organization in DC called NARC, National Association for the Advancement of Returning Citizens. And they are the representatives who are taking us into this detention facility in Washington, D.C. So we're going to be taking the work that we do in Inside Circle into this detention facility with the aims of establishing and gaining root, getting a toehold in there so that as those young men begin to come out, we can start to work with them. I'll be out there for the opening of what we call the Healing Home in DC. We just launched that in May of this year. And what the Healing Home is transformational housing, not transitional housing, not no boarding house, not no halfway house, but it's a house, man. It was on the market for like 1.5. And we were able to get in connection with the owner of the house, and he took it off the market and is renting it to this collective of organizations, Inside Circle, Homeboys Industries, the Annie E. Casey Foundation. Is 7 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 3 stories, so that when these young folks parole, when they come out of these facilities, they got some place to go. They got a home to go to. They're not paying rent. They got a home to go to that's out of the way. They ain't got to be looking over their shoulder, head on a swivel, worrying about somebody hunting them, and they can have that reprise. They got a place to be able to sit and rest and do the work on themselves, get a support around financial literacy, get support around the addiction to the lifestyle, get support around a job, workforce readiness skills, and things of that nature for a minimum of 1 year before they get thrust out into the world. Because that's what we're doing with folks now is, okay, your time is up. Motherfucker, get out there and figure it out. And a lot of these dudes ain't never been squares. They've never been citizens. They don't know what they don't know. And that's why a lot of us wind up failing, because we're set up to fail. So we're establishing in DC a place, a foundation, a base where cats can learn the soft skills that are necessary to be functioning adults in this society.
Okay, so I didn't talk to you about this. As you guys know, this is a off top interview. We don't do pre-interviews. This is Real Talk TV. I found out last night. I stayed up till 1 o'clock doing my homework on you. I do my homework on all my guests because I have a purpose here, and my purpose is aligned with your purpose, saving our youth. I don't want my kids and my grandkids going to have to do prison time like I did. Spent more than half my life in them places, man. Not straight like you. I just come home for a year, go back for 5, come home for a year, 6 months, go back for 10. That's my history. But I seen that you was on TED Talk. That amazed me because this cat in San Quentin that did the TED Talk that is a financial expert. I've been reaching out to him, and Wallow's going to be on here shortly. But for you to get on TED Talk, you have to have so corporate America is white. That's just what it is. That's facts. Corporate America is white. We've been raised by the streets, and we think cash and how we got our cash was how we made a living, and that's just what we was raised and taught as youth. You come from around the corner from where I grew up at, and corporate America is about credit and plastic. And for you to get on TED and spill your spill, and I seen 2 black people in the crowd. It was nothing but white people. That's what I seen. And you got on TED and you gave your spiel. And for you to get on there, you have to have credibility. So I want my viewers to know that this man right here is a credible individual out there, not talking the talk, but walking the walk, traveling the world, trying to save our children because he has a passion. And that passion is the same passion this channel is on right now. So how did you come about? Did someone bring TED Talk to you? Did you try to get on that platform, or they came to you? Wait, I don't mean to interrupt you, but give my view, because the link is down there going across my board right now for your interview. I mean, your spill on TED Talk, and I want you guys to check this out because this man, his heart is golden and he's the truth. I want you to tell him, how did you get on TED Talk? How did that platform become available to you?
Okay, it became available. It started with being in prison. It started with getting involved with Inside Circle on CR, and not long before I left CR, there was a documentary shot over the course of 4 days, and the documentary is titled "The Work," and it premiered at South by Southwest in 2017. And based off of, I happened to, be still incarcerated when the film was made, when the film was shot. And I'm kind of featured heavily throughout the film. And based on that, somebody reached out to me to do an op-ed for the LA Times. So I did an op-ed for the LA Times. And then based on doing that, somebody who's a curator, I didn't even know how the process works. Somebody who's a curator for the TED Women Conference, I spoke at TED Women, reached out to a lady at the LA Times and was like, can you connect me with this cat? So she said, yeah, they connected me. We hopped on a call. She's a slick talking, chick from Liverpool, England somewhere, talk real fast, Hollywood type cat. Yeah. And I got this proposal for you. I'm a curator. I do this, I do that, and yada, yada, yada. I think it'd be interesting. Want to bring you on TED. Are you interested? I was like, yeah, sure. I had no fucking clue what TED was. I didn't even know. I didn't know. Didn't give a damn. I just was at a point where I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. You're talking about, getting out there and putting some content out and speaking to folks about my story and about what it is that I'm doing in the world, what it is I'm passionate about. I just said, yeah, I had no idea what it was. I got off the phone, went in the other room, and I told my wife, I was like, yeah, I just talked to this lady, and they want me to come and do a TED Talk. I'm going to be on TED. She started jumping around like, Michael Jackson had been reborn or something like that. She's like, oh my God, you're going to be on TED. She started calling her sister or mama and all that old shit. I was like, let me Google, what the fuck is TED? So I Googled it. I was like, ooh, shit.
It's
I wish
humongous.
I'd have known that before I said yes, because I might not have said yes if I, would have known what that was. But shit, I'd already committed, so that's how it came to be.
And you did a great job. Have they been in contact with you since then?
Has Ted been in contact with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm what they call a TED fellow, and we do all sorts of stuff, and it's led to some other opportunities to speak. Because TED is a pretty known platform. I guess, and it leads to a lot of different things. So it's been a springboard. It's given me the opportunity to gain access to a lot of spaces and places that I probably would not have been in at such an accelerated rate without the opportunity to present at TED.
And that's why you're on my channel right now. I'm just starting this channel out, but when you contacted me, it was like we was destined to be, and we're in the same, we have the same focal points here. We're after the same thing, our kids, man. And it's sad because we was programmed from youngsters about life, and it was wrong. We was lied to all our lives. And I remember when I was 11 years old, I was in my grandmother's house, and my grandfather, he was watching this movie, and it was about Attica prison. And I knew at the end of that movie where I was going to end up. I wanted so bad to go up in there and see what prison was like, what it was like. And it was like something just came over me. So I knew at a very young age I was going to be selling dope. That's all my life. So in order to unprogram that, you have to look in the mirror and really see who your mind and your heart is, what we're about. You have to take a deep look, not just a glance to your facial expressions, but you have to know who you are and what you want to leave as your legacy. And I commend you, ELDRA. You did 24 years straight, shoe terms. I met man. So my story about Manson, I'm gonna do a thing. I met Manson in '89, I think in '88 or '89 at Vacaville. And some white guys threw some lighter fluid on his hair and tried to burn him up. And I seen him running down thing. I met him there, and then I met him in Vacaville Hole, Willis Wing. He was in the hole, and they gave him a guitar and gave him a cell and knocked the wall out. He had 2 cells. So, and they used to bring his mail by the bags. And he bought everyone TVs on the chair. Back then, you could have a TV in the cell. And I knew this dude was something. I watched the movie. I read the book. I was next door to the Onion Field killer, Greg Powell. He gave me a story, nothing like the media. So you can't go by the media. Your life story is amazing, not just to me and my viewers, but the world needs to know who this guy is and what he's doing, man. And his link is at the bottom of my screen. He's on YouTube, on TED Talk. He travels the world, and I want you guys to support him. My Cash App's down there. Everything's going directly to his nonprofit. If you guys do donate. If you guys can't, please share this video. Now, this is part 1, ELDRA. We're linked up now. I got all these channels tapping in with me, asking me questions right now about who you are. They're texting my phone now, I'm crazy, and they want you. But my suggestion is stay in your lane, do what you're doing, because some of these channels, it's propaganda. They want views. I'm not here for views. I'm not here for that. I'm here to reach 2 or 3 if I can, to save them from having to get them cuffs put on them, having to go to shoe program. Man, the shoe is the most miserable place a person could be, bro. You know that. I know that. I did 4 years in the shoe, and it's just crazy. It's like your mind starts leaving you. And for you to talk with the intelligence you have now, after being in the shoe, isolated by yourself, single cell status. I know what that's like. I was on it 2 years. But to be on Walk Alone and see Charles Manson out there mingling, and he got all this notoriety, and he ain't picked up nothing, a knife. He ain't fought. I ain't never heard him fighting in prison. I seen him run. But we was in them battles in prison. We seen death. I just had left when Yogi got killed, man. But my cellie was involved in that in New Folsom. Yogi Bear, he got killed after doing 46 years on the shoe in Pelican Bay. But it was like devastating to me, even though what he was there for. It just was devastating for me, for this man to be in the shoe 46 years, come to a main line and get killed a week later. It was like, man, I'm glad I wasn't there. But we both know about New Folsom's history, and I've been in arguments, and I don't know if you've been to Pleasant Valley before, but X-Rated was there. He was on another yard from me. But Everyone on here talks about Pelican Bay, New Folsom, Salinas Valley, and High Desert about being the most dangerous prisons in California. I've touched all them yards. But when I finally dropped to a level 3 and they sent me to Pleasant Valley, it was a beast inside a beast. And why I say that is because, yes, New Folsom was very dangerous. Salinas Valley was very dangerous, and High Desert was. But when I got to Pleasant Valley, ELDRA, bulldogs ran the yard. I don't know if you ever met a bulldog, been on a yard with a bulldog. They're wild. My first day there walking across the yard, I seen a bulldog call an East Coast cat the N-word. Right then, nothing happened. Right then, I knew that I wasn't going to be there more than 6 months. I was there 178 days, and I kicked off a ride with the Bulldogs. But before this happened, I seen stabbing, Southsiders removing Southsiders, white boys riding with the Northerners. I seen these riots, and I noticed that the COs there, when they press the alarm, they don't run to no alarms. They walk there, and they surround you and let you finish doing what you're doing. And I was like, man, people are dying here. So I did a segment a couple weeks ago about the most dangerous prison I've been to, and it was Pleasant Valley. Can you tell your visitors, how many prisons have you been to ELDRA, in your 24-year incarceration?
Okay. In that 24 years of incarceration, I'm going to leave out the 3 or 4 years I did in YA before I went to prison.
Okay.
Okay. So I started, and Vacaville was reception. From there, they sent me to Pelican Bay to Tehachapi to Solano to Corcoran to Folsom back to Vacaville.
7 prisons.
The most dangerous and deadly prison environment that I have ever in my life been in, seen, experience was right here.
That's deep.
Right in my head. I was in prison, man, before I ever got a pair of manacles put on my wrist. I was in prison before they ever put me in the back of a police car or I sat on a Grey Goose. And that's the work that we do at Inside Circle is supporting spaces where folks, anybody, whether you in jail or whether you a CEO of a Fortune 50 company, can find freedom. Because the shit that goes on in prison yards is a physical manifestation of what is the reality of the internal landscape. That's what happens on those yards. It happens here first. It gets normalized and rationalized here first. I believe it in here first in order for it to come out and play out on this plane. The worst prison I've ever been in is right up here, man. It was the prison that I incarcerated myself in years and years and years before I ever hit a yard. I heard you talk about, watching that flick about Attica and made the determination, inside of yourself right then and there that you was going to jail. You was already in prison. You had already preordained that that's where you was going to go.
That's deep. I didn't know the answer to that. And I have to reevaluate my life now over again. And it's growth. You have to do this daily. You got to find out who you are. And you're totally correct on that. Man, that's deep. That's something to think about. Your organization, man, is something terrific, and it's growing by the numbers. And we have a lot of people. So I told my viewers that we can't expect the DA, the sheriff, the Sacramento police, the LAPD, New York City police. We can't expect them to make a change in our communities because their kids aren't gangbanging. Their kids aren't out there in tents living. Their kids aren't out there starving, don't know where their next meal's coming from. In order to change our communities in the United States of America from gang violence and homelessness, we have to have people like us that's been there, that our family members experience this, go into our communities and make that change. We can't expect the governors and the mayors to do it. They get on TV and they make it sound good. They sugarcoat everything, but they have funding for this for individuals like us. And you're being funded actually by a couple of DA's offices, right?
Mm-hmm.
What DA's?
We're working with the San Francisco District Attorney's Office. We're working with the Kings County District Attorney's Office, which is the Brooklyn DA's office. And the end of July, I'll be in Philadelphia. We'll be in talks at a convention with the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office.
That's wonderful. Who would have you have thought 20 years ago you'd be working with the district attorneys of any city?
No, I wouldn't have thought that I'd be working with district attorneys of any cities, and I wouldn't have thought that I'd be sitting in circle and with wardens. Shit, I sit in circle with wardens in California prisons. I consult with wardens and their chief deputies, and I sit in circle with officers. I've sat in circle with NYPD officers. And you talk about, you know, the folks who are necessary to boots on the ground. Yeah, you goddamn Skippy. We as credible messengers have to be a part of the solution. It's imperative that we're the tip of the spear of any solution of anything that's brought to the table. And it's also necessary that these folks that we're talking about, we find a coalition of the willing to bring in as partners, because they have the power, because they have the access. And I'm going to tell you something, man. I'm going to tell everybody who's listening to this, district attorneys and police and all of that, you know, we rah, yada, yada, yada. They're humans. They're humans. And though their children may not go to the same schools that our children go to, they are parents. And at the end of the day, though the story may be different, again, I'm going to talk about that vertical emotional understanding and learning and literacy. Every parent feels the same thing about their children. Every parent wants their child to be safe. Every parent wants their child to have more and do better than they did. Every parent sees a child in distress and in pain, and the humanity in them can feel that. They may not show that, but they can feel that. So them cops and them DAs, they ain't no different than us, because there was a point in time, Donnie, where me and you both were able to extract ourselves and disassociate from our humanity in order to survive the madness that was prison, in order to survive the madness that was solitary confinement. And that's all they doing, is trying to figure out how to get through the day. And if getting through the day means that I got to go numb, then that's what you do. That's how I made it through 24 plus years of incarceration. That's how you made it, going in and out and doing however many years you did in prison. There's a part of the human soul and psyche that has to go numb, or you go fucking insane. Seeing shit, seeing the sort of shit that we see, man. You see a cat get his throat cut, and then you see the cat next to you get his brains blown out. You got to step over the body and act like you ain't seen nothing for your own survival. That's a disassociation from my humanity. They ain't no different than us. So when I can sit in a room with them and support in a healthy, safe space, them being able to see that and them being able to realize that, then we on common ground. Once we on common ground, now we can start to work together. Now we can start to figure out solutions together, because there is no separation. Ain't no us and them. Ain't no this side of the fence and that side of the fence. It's the human plight that we talking about. It's the human plight that we talking about dealing with, because these kids we talking about saving are humans. Them cats that's behind them walls and doing time in them stoops that we talking about going in there and supporting is humans. Them cats that's putting them in there and holding them in there is humans. The average age of life expectancy for a correctional officer is 59 and a half.
Wow.
59 and a half years old. They have one of the highest suicide rates in the community. They're people. And they people who living with hurt. They people who living with trauma. We all got to heal. We got to do this shit together, because we in this together. If we continue to try to do this in silos, well, we going to go over here and we going to do this and we going to let them do that over there and fuck them. We going to get ours and I don't give a fuck if they get theirs. That's why we where we at today. And if we stay doing that, we're going to stay getting the same shit we've been getting. And we're going to stay fucked in the game.
What's your legacy?
My legacy is going to be, I did my part. And what that looks like for me is being willing to go anywhere and sit with anybody who's in pain, sit with anybody who wants to heal, to sit with anybody who wants better for themselves, because an ancillary byproduct of me wanting better for myself is I gotta want to see better for you. I gotta want to see you have better. That's the natural order of life. That is the truth of human spirit. That's why I was placed on this planet to have and live this experience, is to recognize and realize my best and highest self. And my best and highest self means I want to see your best and highest self and support you in that. That's my legacy.
That's amazing. That is amazing testimony, ELDRA. Man, I'm dumbfounded right now. I had 64 questions for you, and I'm stuck on the third question already. We already been in this 46 minutes. We're a minute and 6 minutes over my time, so we're gonna have to do a part 2. But his link to his TED video, I suggest you guys get on YouTube. It's running across the bottom of my screen. You guys want to help him, help this channel. Donations are made right there. They're going straight to his nonprofit. I can't even count how many texts on my phone right now asking for your phone number. I'm not going to do that. We're going to consult after this is over with. But it was an honor and a privilege, ELDRA, to have you on this channel. You're helping the growth. You're doing the work. And I commend you on it, man. We're going to tap in. You want to tell my viewers anything? Oh, I got a question. So I only ask people worthy of this question that I interviewed. At 50 years old, you're 50?
50 years old, yes, sir.
At 50 years old, what would you tell 12-year-old ELDRA Jackson III at 50 years old?
Love yourself. Believe in you. Don't look for your value in somebody else. Trust you.
Instinct.
That's it. Instinct, man. And I'm gonna be very clear. Love yourself. Love you. That's what I would tell 12-year-old me. Because at 12 years old, I didn't love me. I didn't know how to love me. And by me not loving me, I wasn't equipped to really allow others in to love me. I had people around me. I had parents. I had family. I had folks who loved me, but I wasn't equipped to receive that love authentically.
You have it now. I see it in your eye. So I was always told that your eyes are the windows to your soul. And your eyes, man, I remember you. I was at Vacaville with you, and I remember you. And I seen you walking down the hall one day, and you had your shirt creased. You were suited. And a lot of people in prison, they give up. And I could tell. Okay, let me back up. When you've been in prison and you learn to read people, and I could most definitely pick out the people that's walking the yard that's been there a number of years. I had no idea you was a lifer when I seen you. You didn't carry yourself like a lifer. I knew you was from SAC. I heard someone say your name. Not going to say your past gang name or your nickname on here. That ain't even important. But when our brother Jason hooked us up and I started talking to you, and as soon as you said inside circle, I'm like, wait, this is the cat, because he said your nickname. This is the cat that was at VAC with me, and they offered me to get in this program. But of course, I went to the hole, ended up in Donovan, from there to New Folsom again. And I didn't have the opportunity, but I kept hearing about Inside Circle. You had this program at Vacaville also. And for us, for people from Sacramento, anywhere in the Bay Area, Vacaville is the cream of the crop. Everyone wants to get to Vacaville. If you've been on any level 4, 180 yards, you look forward from Vacaville, Solano, anything close to home. I finally got that opportunity. I started out there in 89 like you. Green side. We had greens on. I sneaked to the blue side, the whole shit. But when I got back to Vacaville in 2000, I believe 13 or 14, 13. It was like I was so excited because I knew a lot of money was there, and my mind was still on money. I lasted 7 months, bro. 7 months in on the main line, and then a year in the hole. Me and Baye. So it was like, man, I messed this up. That's when I knew. I didn't know my date then. I didn't know when I was going to come home at that time, but that's when it clicked for me. I can't keep doing this shit. The mighty dollar been controlling my life all my life. That's my addiction. I have addiction to U.S. currency. And when I came home this time, it's like I had a heartfelt moment when I see my son for the first time. I haven't seen him since he was 9. And when he came to pick me up from prison, I haven't talked to him since he was 9. He came by himself to pick me up. And when he hugged me, I knew, I was like, I'm not going back. I got to think of something productive to do in society. But it's beyond my children. If I'm focusing on my children, I'm being selfish. And we have to raise our community and our surroundings. You're in New York. I'm in Sacramento. I go to LA. I've been to Atlanta. I've been to Dallas. But I haven't really focused on saving our children until the last year of my life, man. And it's like, it's very important to me that people don't remember me as a convict. That's past. I've grown into a man. When you're a man, you do positive things. You take care of your family. And I see you doing that. And I commend you, ELDRA. And we're going to get on board. Like I said, support this man. We're way over my time. My editor keeps waving me down, but I got so much to say to you. We're going to do a part 2, and I don't know if it's going to turn into a part 2 or 3. I know you're a very busy man. You're travel the world. You're doing your part, but I want to commend you. I'll tap in with you. I love you. My viewers, you have to share this man's life story, his video, his TED. He did an amazing job. Also, I'm going to put a link down here to his nonprofit. I thought I had it down here and my editor didn't do it. I'm gonna put that on here when this is live, by the way, but it's early in the daytime. I wanted to do this early because I knew there was going to be some editing. So it will be released again at 5 o'clock, the edited version with all his information. Support this man and his movement. And ELDRA, I'll talk to you in about probably 2 hours, man. Let me get going. I want you to close this to my viewers, please. Give them what you got in your heart right now.
What I got for your viewers is the same thing I have for 12-year-old me. Love yourself, know your value, know your worth. Don't look to somebody else. Don't look to the media. Don't look to others for who you are. Recognize who you are, believe in who you are, so that way you can teach me, you can instruct me, you can guide me in how to treat you. Because short of that, I'm going to treat you how I think you should be treated. So teach me how you deserve to be treated. And in order for you to do that, my invitation is for you to know that for yourself. And go watch the documentary, The Work. If you don't do nothing else, go sit and watch it with yourself, your family, have a viewing party. I guarantee you it's 91 minutes that'll change your life.